As much as I do not like V format enough to make a whole video about it, I gotta admit, it's getting better over time thanks to some of the new release that kind of shift the power level to the equilibrium, and at the same time some of the bad lists kind of bring down some of the strongest deck that kind of lived through almost a whole year since we became kind of like a different format altogether. However, there are one of the old mark that I do feel that it's kind of really strong, and it's kind of like a generation gap between old way of playing V and current version of V, which is kind of more archetype based and everything. And that particular deck is of course Prism. Prism in my opinion is by far one of my favorite archetype from Bermuda Triangle, not just because of the design but its playstyle is really fun. However, Bushiro decided to amp the playstyle up by 11 or 12. NANI? And now it is still one of the most prevalent deck in the game. So why exactly makes Prism so important? Well, it's kind of tied down to 3 of the very first Prism cards. I'm not counting 4, but I will cover as this video goes on. So if you guys enjoy this kind of content, consider like, share and subscribe to this channel, and ring that bell to keep up with the notification. I'm trying to hit 1,000 subs by the end of this year, so any help is greatly appreciated. So if you guys already subscribed to me or at least give me a like on this video, thank you so much. Also, a quick disclaimer, as I'll be leaving a deck list for the card that I'll be covering today, it might not be an optimal deck list, it's just based on what I can see a lot of people play, and I kind of love like copy and test it out for a bit here and there. So this is by no means a like championship level of decks, but I think you can definitely use it as a guideline to some of the cards, and just adjust it to your own taste. And if you think that there are anything that can be done to the deck list that I have put myself, do leave in the comments below as well. And without further ado, let's start off with the very first card. Prism Image Clear has 2 abilities. When placed as a Vanguard, look at top 7 cards from your deck, reveal up to 1 grade 2 or greater card with Prism, and then put into your hand, shuffle your deck. Then on Vanguard, when placed from bind zone, bind a card with Prism in this card from your drop zone, draw a card, and this unit get power plus 10,000 until end of turn. Clear's Vanguard effect helps to fix the misgrade issue by helping to search for certain grades of Prism cards, while its Vanguard effect is pretty damn useful as it's not only recover resource from your hand by drawing, it also get a very respectable power number, which is 10k, which means that it is able to hit any Vanguard regardless of which type of markers the clan is in. And binding cards from drop zone, one of the best places to bind, is actually really good as it will be a resource to use for word, which is a grade 3. Ross kind of follow very similar trend to Clear, but kind of amp up. When placed on Vanguard or Vanguard Circle, counter blast 1, look at top 7 cards of your deck and reveal up to 2 cards with Prism in their name, and put one of them into your hand, bind the other one, and then shuffle your deck. And it has also another ability as a Vanguard. When placed from bind zone, all of your front row unit with Prism gets 10k until end of turn. Not only this card is also a resource card that helps to fix the misgrading, it also is one of the very important cards in Prism as it gives your front row Prism additional 10k. That means your front row get a force marker until end of turn.
Damn boy, he's thick!
And combined with force marker and clear effects, you can hit for really high number as long as they are going to call themselves from bind zone. Well, how they are going to do that? Well, Word is here to kind of solve all the problem. On Vanguard, once per turn, Soul Blast 1 and bind a card from your drop zone or Vanguard Circle with Prism in its name, and this unit gets drive check +1 until end of turn. And it also has a very powerful second ability. When it attacks, counter blast 1, return of your front row Vanguard to your hand, call up to 1 card with Prism in its card name from your bind zone to Vanguard. If your opponent grade is 3 or higher, you call 2 different Prism units instead. Well, would you look at that? Another card that helps to reserve your resource by returning all of them to your hand. Very Bermuda thing kind of thing to do. But what makes this card so strong is the combination of Clear, Rose and Word herself. As with these 3 ability, you can get total of 5 attacks, and one of them will have at least 38k. The other will have at least 30-40k based on your force marker count at the movement. Also, this card has ability to bind more Rega into the bind zone as well, keeping up the bullet that you needed for the later turn, and gain more advantage of it through drive check as well. So in general, what makes Prism so strong is the fact that it can maintain their hand size very consistently while having a really high column regards to swing for almost every turn, as their regard is in the bind zone where not a lot of deck can really interact with it. Then we have, strangely enough, a grade 4 unit for Prism Nectaria. It has two ability as well, act on hand, bind this card, search your deck for up to one normal unit, bind it, and shuffle your deck. This ability can only be used once per turn, so kind of like a hard once per turn in Yu-Gi-Oh! Then it's constant Vanguard or Reka ability. During your turn, if you have a card with the same card name as this unit in your bind zone, this get plus 10k. If this unit is on Vanguard circle, you get critical and drive plus 1. So in general, its second effect is kind of negligible as a Vanguard, but as a Vanguard is still a respectable 23 attack, 23k beastic. But what made this card kind of helping the Prism consistency, not a lot but help a bit, is the fact that if in the worst case scenario you didn't get any Prism bind in your bind zone, this just help you to bind it very easily. So we can kind of deduct that what kind of playstyle Prism actually has based on these 4 cards. You bind shits into your bind zone, call it back using red, and then just swing really hard for multiple attacks and multiple drive. What makes this deck really strong though is the fact that it has a high compatibility with the Bermuda's generic support, and as well as the fact that it can keep its combo very consistently. Also, it's a Force Clan, and Force Clan is widely known to be one of the strongest marker among the 3. So is there any problem with the deck itself? And personally, I would say it does have one problem, and that is its consistency in binding. Yes, there is where to kind of bind everything from rear card and bind zone, but I do think that with more release of the card, the deck can get more consistent because of the fact that there are only total of 4 cards right now. But this problem kind of outweighs this deck issue, as there are multitude of supports in Bermuda that can kind of cover the mistake that Prism kinda have, and that's why the deck is so strong. The deck almost have no weakness. With all that being said, here is my deck list. I decided to run all Prism's cards available in V format, just to keep the consistency, and then run some of the really good support from Bermudas like Liselot, Sister, Aqua, Setna, the great one that help to countercharge, and then some of the defensive card as well. For the trigger lineup, I think you can go with 8 crit and 4 draws and they still run just fine. I decided to run additional draw instead of a crit just to see how it goes, and I'm too lazy to switch during the testing itself, so yeah. And that's Prism, a very powerful deck and kind of a long lasting deck even after a few hits on the restriction list itself, just like Luat. So yeah, that's all I have for today. If you guys have any comments on the deck list itself, do leave down in the comments below, and leave your suggestion on what you want to do with your deck list. And also, if you have any archetype that you want me to cover through this series of how good is blank, do leave down in comments as well, as I do have a few in mind that I want to cover already, but if you guys have any specific requests, I will do it as well. And that's all I have for today guys. Take care of yourself, and this is McMegane signing out.